So what's this hidden danger of waiting until you're 65 to retire? I mean, how bad can it be? That's when most of us are supposed to hang it up, right? I used to think the same thing. Work till 65, collect Social Security, ride off into the sunset. That was the plan. But 2 years ago, at 62, I walked into my boss's office and told him I was done. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because there's a hidden danger, a gotcha, that almost nobody talks about. It derails a lot of people's plans, and it nearly got me too. So let's get into it. The danger has to do with something called your healthy life expectancy. Super important that we know what this is, and almost none of us do. Not how long you're going to live, but how long you're going to live well. Healthy, active, able to do the things you've been dreaming about doing once you finally stop working. The World Health Organization collects this data from all over the world and shares it publicly. They say, in your country, this is what your healthy life expectancy is. It's complicated data, but there are people who've put it into a really easy-to-understand format. So let's look at what age, on average, do people lose their health in various countries. Now, I wish the United States was at the top of this list because that would mean we're the best. Unfortunately, we're not. Japan is number 1 at 74.1. So the average Japanese person can expect to live to almost 75 before they have a serious health issue. Next country. Is it the United States? Is it Canada? It's not. It's Singapore at 73.6, then Korea at 73.1, Switzerland 72.5, Cyprus 72.4, Israel also 72.4, Spain, France, Iceland, Italy, all hovering right around 72. Come on, the next country's got to be us, and hopefully it's like 71.8, right? Okay, the next country is the United States, but it's only 66.1. Let that sink in for a second. The average American loses their health at 66, and the average American retires at 65. That gives you roughly 13 months of healthy retirement. 13 months. After 30, 40 years of working, you get 13 months where you're healthy enough to actually enjoy it. We need to know this. We need to plan for this. And we need to ask ourselves, is this what we want? Now think about when people actually retire. Between 50 and 54, only about 6% of people are retired. And a lot of those folks retired involuntarily. I want people to retire because they planned for it, because they can, and because they chose to. Between 55 and 59, only about 11% are retired. That number used to be closer to 20% not that long ago, and now it's barely over 10. Then 60 to 64, about 32%. That number used to be 41%. So we're retiring later, and our health is getting worse. Between 65 and 69, almost a third of all Americans are still not retired. I think that's a really dangerous thing, particularly if you have dreams, you have hopes, you have things you want to do. We need to be conscious and deliberate about being ready to retire while we still have our health. Then 70 to 74. Still about 17% of people are working. And 75 plus, believe it or not, still 12%. When I saw all of this, something clicked inside me. I thought, what the hell am I waiting for? And it wasn't just numbers on a chart. I looked at my own family. My father had a massive stroke at 59. Spent his final years in assisted living, couldn't do a damn thing for himself. My older brother? Triple bypass at 57. The men in my family don't get a long runway. Do a fair assessment of your own health situation and your family's health situation. It matters. I'm 64 now. I spent over 30 years in warehouse and distribution. Started as a dispatcher, worked my way up to operations manager at a mid-sized logistics company. Solid career. Good career. But I was running my body into the ground. Gas station breakfast sandwiches at 5 a.m., vending machine coffee all day. Whatever I could grab on the way home at night. I was living to work, not working to live. So at 62, I made the call, adjusted my budget, downsized a few things, and I walked away. Okay, so what do we do? I don't know about you, but retiring at 65 and losing my health at 66 and having 13 carefree months of retirement, that is not what I want. Now, those are averages. It doesn't mean I'm going to lose my health at 66. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your health at 66, right? There are some things that we can do. Number one, invest in our health. Let me tell you, your health is much more important than your wealth. So job number one is take care of your health. Invest the time, the effort, and the money to buy the right foods. Avoid the cheap fast food that's so easy and so prevalent here in the United States, and invest the time to cook good healthy food or to buy good healthy food. Go to the gym. Do something cardiovascular a couple of times a week. And maintain your muscle mass. You don't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but maintaining muscle mass as we get older is a really good thing. Number two, look at your finances and come up with a plan. What would it take for me to retire at 55? Oftentimes, it's not as big of a challenge as people think. The number one thing is to have a reasonable game plan for how you're going to achieve your goal. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy who ran a warehouse for 30 years. But I educated myself after my wake-up call, and there are 3 rules that made the biggest difference for me. Rule 1. I don't care how much money you earn, you have to spend less than you earn. Over half of all Americans making over $100,000 a year don't save a dime. It's great that you're earning a good salary, but you have to save. And it's not enough to save, you also have to invest. Rule 2 is one house. And Rule 3 is one spouse. I say those kind of tongue-in-cheek, but there's a lot of truth to both of them. Divorce leads a lot of folks to miss their financial goals in life. That's a touchy subject. Not everybody is meant to be married forever, and you have to do what you have to do. But just like I think it's worthwhile investing in your health, if you have a relationship, I think it's worthwhile investing in that too. Linda and I, that's my wife, 37 years now, our marriage has not always been smooth and rosy and rainbows and unicorns. In our late 40s, we were barely communicating, both stressed with work, stressed with raising the kids. We nearly split. But we went to counseling, and for us it worked. I encourage you to at least consider investing the time and money for professional help if you've got something worth fighting for. One house. With Airbnb and all these different ways we can vacation, having a second home can be very expensive. Property taxes, maintenance, HOA fees on top of everything else. Linda and I looked at a lake house about 2 hours north. Ran the numbers on property taxes, maintenance, insurance, all of it. Decided against it. Now when we want to get away, we just Airbnb. Saved us a fortune. I don't care how much you earn, you have to spend less than you earn. It's not enough to save, you also have to invest. One house, one spouse. Come up with a reasonable plan. None of this is financial advice. I don't know your situation, but I do think it makes a lot of sense to work with a professional to come up with a plan. And then importantly, on the investing side, what I'm about to share determines 90% of your success, and most people don't give a lot of thought to it. If you survey the general public, they'd say about 2/3 of investment success comes from picking the right stock. But it's not the case. Most people attribute only about 5 to 10% of their success to this thing that actually accounts for 90%. And that is your asset allocation. What percent of your portfolio is in stocks, and what percent is in bonds? It's hard for us as individuals to do a good job of determining that. I educated myself on this stuff after my wake-up call. I read everything I could get my hands on, and I learned about the emotional response when the market goes through difficult times. People that say they're going to stay the course, they don't stay the course. Because it's hard to say how you're going to feel when a 30, 40, 50% market crash happens. And if you think I'm being dramatic, as recently as the Great Financial Crisis, the S&P 500 fell 60% top to bottom. I watched my own 401k shrink in 2008, and I almost made every wrong decision you can make. Working with somebody who's helped hundreds of families through that, somebody who knows how you're going to react to a 20 or 30% market drop. Boy, it's nice to have somebody who's seen that movie play out multiple times. So I'd strongly suggest working with a qualified, fee-only financial advisor. And then just have this sense of urgency. Our healthy life expectancy here in the United States is only a little over 66 years. Doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. Doesn't mean you're not going to stay healthy till 80. But do a fair assessment. What does your situation really look like? Here's what I want to leave you with. When you turn 60, most of us have fewer than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time ahead of us. 1,000 weeks. That's not a lot of time. 1,000 weeks is going to pass very quickly. And we want to look back, whether we get 500 healthy, active weeks or 2,000, once our health is gone, and say, I was thoughtful and deliberate in how I chose to spend that time. I chose not to wait. That's the best decision I ever made.